Now we talk about the golden age of television. Oh my gosh, what I'm going to now. Pulse Plus was our, I think it had a 50 rating or something crazy like that. The midday program, hosted by one Jack Harris. Produced by Joe What's-His-Name. Joe Wizarding. That's Jack's words, not mine.
You're a man of many contrasts, and we're going to take a break and come back and talk to Jimmy Walker, who's appearing at the Comedy Corner.
The Comedy Club.
Comedy Corner.
Is it Comedy Corner?
Yeah, Comedy Corner right up here at Kennedy and Hines. It's right up the street. We'll run out and check here during the commercials.
Let's see what the name of it is.
He and I are going to go check on that club, and we'll be back in a moment.
We got to see it in a moment. We'll be right back. We got to see what the name of it is.
Jack, come on. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, let me get on back over here. Yeah, it's the Comedy Corner. It's Comedy Corner. It's a Comedy Corner.
My favorite club in America, the Comedy Corner.
And checked it out down there. That's at Kennedy and Himes in Tampa.
Don't miss it. Be there.
You're ready? Starting out tonight, right?
Starting tonight, and we're available. Please bring your tushies and put them in the seats.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, his words, not mine. Wacky Jackie by Cracky Jack Harris.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and people have talked about the great experiences at Fox 13, and I was lucky enough to be a part of that. Dick Ahern hired me after listening to me on the radio, but sight unseen. And I was flabbergasted. The guy had never seen me or anything, and he was a little surprised to see the rhino horn that I have here when we did finally get together. By the way, I'm wearing a jacket that my wife dug up from a live broadcast we did of the actual first Grand Prix in St. Petersburg. We broadcast from the overhang at the Vinoy Hotel. And I don't know where she found this jacket, but here it is. But it was a great experience for me, and I really appreciate Mike inviting me to be a part of this, because he said that the people would love to see the guy who had been on 13, and he's been on the radio and TV, and people have loved and respected for so long. And unfortunately, John Morgan couldn't be here. So he said, you'll have to do. And John is trying to replace me at the airport as well. He said, please stand clear of the doors or I'll sue you. For the people mover. But nevertheless, it was an incredible experience, and I had great experiences working at Busch Gardens, doing a show out there for many years on Channel 8, but the greatest was Pulse Plus because of all the fun we did. It was all ad-lib, it was all wild and crazy, and thanks to the leeway that Joe What's-His-Name gave us, and we called him Joe What's-His-Name because nobody could ever spell his name by a long shot, much less pronounce it. So he became Joe What's-His-Name, and we had so many great experiences from the Pulse Plus Orchestra that never got to play. And I always threatened to sing on the show. We'd start the show and say, and by the way, at the end of the show, because my predecessors were singers, and I certainly wasn't that. But it was a great experience. I've got to do something now here. It's going to embarrass my son, but I got to do a selfie with everybody. If you would all please smile. Wait a minute, here we go. We get it working. My apologies to my son. But it was an incredible experience, and I can only thank Channel 13 for allowing me to be a part of that. And I even thank Kathy Fountain, who got me fired. Took my job. And did a much better job, I might add. But you're talking about ratings. We had 50 ratings from time to time, or 50 shares from time to time, not ratings. Ratings were up around 17 or 18 or 19. That's unheard of today. And it was the second highest rated local show in the country. The #1 show was a show done up in Cincinnati by, at the time, Jerry Springer. We beat him somehow up in Cincinnati. But it was great to be a part of television before when looks didn't count. Thank goodness. Because as I learned a lot later from 13 and 8 and Bay News 9 and then a little experience with ABC Action News, I have a much better face for radio. And that's worked out well. And 10 years ago, I got to be a part of the 50th reunion along with my son, and I think we've got a video here of that. All right, Mike?
You mentioned, I met Jackson a couple of times, and I keep telling him how lucky he is to have Jack Harris as a dad, because Jack's a veteran Tampa Bay broadcaster. And I hope that, are you thinking about going into the business someday?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you got a great trainer there. You've seen his outtakes. And I hope we see you on the air before too long. How old are you now?
13.
He's 13? Okay. Anyway, would you stay in touch with us just, and let us know what's going on? And I hope you do things in broadcasting.
Well, fortunately, he hasn't done things in broadcasting, but here he comes 10 years later. That's Mike.
I just, if I could say something about Jackson, and I apologize for my voice, but I brought this from LA with me. I only met Jackson once, and that was 10 years ago at the reunion. And then a few years later, Facebook came around, and Jackson friended me, and I started being Facebook friends with him. But in the early days, around high school age, maybe getting into college the first year, he started to exercise his freedom of speech in ways that I found a little offensive. You know you did. And, but I almost unfriended you. But I decided to stick with him. And I'm glad I did, because as he grew, it was like watching somebody grow up. It was like that movie Boyhood. And he started to mature. He started to develop, an intellectual side of him, a deep thinker, somebody who didn't see everything in black and white. And he also became a world traveler. And so I wanted to bring him up so you could see him 10 years later and see how far he's come. And also, Jackson, I know you're not, going into broadcasting, but could you tell everybody what you are studying? Come on up to the mic here. And you're very tall.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess so, Well, I'm studying urban planning and transportation planning, because he scared me out of doing broadcasting as much as I wanted to do it. But yeah, it was about 10 years ago. I first, I always was very interested in the local radio and TV history, especially in this market. And I emailed Mike when I first started using email, and I was so grateful he invited me 10 years ago to the event. And that was such a neat night, to be surrounded in so many really legends and celebrities, and to be here 10 years later again, surrounded in huge names in history like Art Steele and Ray Blush and Kelly Ring, people like that. And it's always, this was such a great opportunity to be here tonight, 10 years ago, and then maybe at the 100th.
Tell me what you're into, what's your
focused in transportation planning and transit and that sort of urban planning. That
Do you know any cities that could use those particular towns?
Well, let's think about it for a minute. But hoping to, break into that field, since there's apparently, plenty of work that can be done.
If Jackson can come back and help the city of Tampa, won't that be great?
We'll see. I'll do my best. Thank you.
I'm proud to be your friend.
I got one other thing to add, too. On Pulse Plus, I met my wife, and that's the reason she isn't here, because she hadn't forgiven you guys yet. We were doing Pulse Plus, and she was in the other studio. We had two studios back in the old building, and I finished up and never met her or anything, but she was Department of Natural Resources seafood promotion, went around doing TV shows and stuff like that. And after I finished with Leslie Spencer and we did the first half hour, I went in and I saw her and I thought, wow. And I called her the fish lady then, and she nailed it, hooked me. Hook, line, and sinker, so to speak. But again, that's the reason she's not here. She hadn't gotten over it.